I often get asked how much disturbance is going to be during a interior veneer project or an interior tile project. And it really depends. Depends on if we bring in the stone, we can do it in phases, or if the client brings in stone. Sometimes we'll mobilize if it's wintertime and there's no garage access. That depends on where we put our. That determines where we put our saws, our hand tools, and so on and so forth. If we do a larger project, obviously we'll have scaffolding. This is a smaller unit here, but we'll need a place to set up saws, wet saws. Obviously furniture will have to kind of be pushed out of the way and covered up. But you can see it's not a lot of large stuff, it's just a lot of little stuff. Bags of mortar, stone glue, so on and so forth. We'll have to take the mantles off, that kind of thing. We'll usually show up with a couple of totes, cameras, that kind of thing. But you can see there's not a whole lot of space in the middle here. Fortunately for this project, the homeowners aren't currently here, so we're able to just kind of stay parked. But usually project like this, usually a couple of days, 3-4 days, and we're out of here. So if you're living amongst the project, it's going to be a little chaotic for the first few days, and then it starts to get better after that once we start minimizing the amount of tools that we need the further along the job progresses. But I figure that it'd be a good opportunity to kind of show you what we show up with and what to expect on these kind of jobs. A lot of times people wonder, how much goes into something like this. It's usually not a problem. They see the DIY videos on how to do stone veneer, and it looks like you can just glue it to the wall, and that is never the case usually, that we found. There's always a lot that goes into it. We found that there's a lot more that went into this job than what we were really anticipating. As soon as you start pulling the drywall off, you start to see structural issues behind it. You start to think about how you want to have paneling and the veneer mesh with itself. We have a couple of different mediums here. We have wood medium that requires a different substrate, and then we have framing over here that we can do a different substrate. We're going to be doing some stone over the metal framing here, so that requires a different form of adhesion. So a lot goes into these jobs in order to have a project that is successful. So yeah, kind of give you an idea of what we show up with, what some of this entails, especially when we break out pricing. It's I think that's the misnomer is that a project like this shouldn't cost that much. But once you start to see everything that goes into it and what you really have to conquer, yeah, it gets to be problematic at times. Not to mention, when you start talking about solid stone hearths, you're anywhere from 300-400 pounds easily on a hearth. So 2 men and a boy, wrestling that thing into place. So that's hard for a homeowner to conquer on a weekend.